It's around 3 o'clock, close to it, on Thursday, June 7th, going on 3 days since she passed. Something like that. To me, it feels like 100 years ago. But no, it hasn't even been a week. It just seems longer. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. On my last video, I believe I said probably have to sell the house. I do believe I said it that way. I always did plan on selling the house after she died. But I was hit with a little sentimentality and had this crazy idea just for a brief moment that I might be able to keep the house, or want to. This was the last house my mother and father lived together in, and they lived here for a long time. The house is paid for. It's a mobile home. And a little trivia for you. Mobile homes were not titled because of their mobility, that you're able to move them from one lot to another lot. No, that's not why they're called mobile homes. They're called mobile homes because they were originally manufactured in Mobile, Alabama. You really don't want to move one of these things. It's expensive to move them. You split them in half. They split right in the middle. You stack them up on a truck. Something like 10 to 20 grand to move one of these things, depending on where you're moving them to. Might be cheaper. Those are the prices I've been told. And then you move them to another lot or a piece of land. And the problem is, once you split them apart when they've been sitting there for a long, long time, like this house has been at least 30 years, you're going to be dealing with leaks no matter how well they fit the two halves together again, because they never quite sit right with each other once you move them. At least that's what I've been told by the few people I've talked to who did it. But I do not want to relocate this mobile home, nor do I want to keep it. I can't. Practically, I can't. And besides, I need a clean break. No, really, I need a fresh start. I need to put this all behind me. This house is really hanging over my head. I want to sell it along with 90% of its content. There are very few things I plan on taking with me. And some of the things that I'm taking with me, I plan on selling later on, because they are of some value and I'm not going to sell them cheap. Hell, I got this here little porcelain statue, I don't know the exact measurements, but it fits in a curio cabinet. It's a replica of the Piñata. I think I said that right. And I remember 15 years ago, I paid $450 for that thing. She wanted it. She used to whine to me because she had one just like this, and she had to sell it to pay for my father's funeral, her husband's. Oh, the irony. Now I'm going to sell it to basically pay for her burial, which involves simply opening up my father's grave and putting her ashes, or the urn that's holding her ashes, into the space above my father's casket. Because like I said, I'm not going to have any funeral service. It's just going to be me watching them dig up my father's grave and go in there and put my mother's urn in there. That's it. And I put it down with the funeral home as something to do later. They're going to be sending me the urn with her ashes, along with death certificates. Gee, I always thought one would cut it, just like a birth certificate. You only get one birth certificate. But no, you can't send out copies of a death certificate. No, people want printed originals. And then they make a copy, and if you want them to send the original back, they'll send it back to you. Go figure. And if you haven't figured it out by now, yes, this is the first time I'm dealing with this sort of thing and all these details and arrangements. When my father died, my mother and her sister-in-law took care of all this, all the details and arrangements. I was just there for moral support and didn't pay too much attention to details and arrangements. Other funerals I have attended in my life were just that. I just attended them, totally clueless as to what went on behind the scenes. But anyway, death certificates here in the People's Republic of California are $21 a piece. I've been told I'll need between 6 to 12 of them. They tell me I can start out with 6, and if I need more, I can always order more later. I started out with 3. And that was yesterday. The funeral director was here making these arrangements with me. As well, the place where I rented the hospital bed and the wheelchair I used for my mother came by to pick up their goods. But getting back to the house and what I'm taking with me, the only big thing that I'm taking with me is my bed. I'm leaving all other furniture and other big things behind. Yeah, and some of this furniture is, well, at the least, is in need of refurbishing. But I do remember a couple of years ago, before I left my job to be caregiver for my mother, somebody telling me that there are realtors that will buy your house directly to you and give you cash for it. Maybe I can throw in the furniture with them and they can up the price a little bit. But I do want to sell this house fast. I want to pay off the funeral and the burial fees. I want to get that all behind me. And whatever I have left, I want to put into an RV, along with a decent laptop. There are still a couple of kinks that I have to figure out in this whole plan. For one thing, I'm going to need a place to stay temporarily, and maybe a month or two. I'm thinking rent-free or at least pay for utilities. I know that might be reaching. I can think of a couple of people that I know who might be able to help me. I don't know. I haven't talked to them yet about it. There is another kink as well. This car that I have, Kia Forte 2014. I still have like $13,000 or $14,000 to pay off on that car. In fact, today I just mailed out this month's payment for that car. I paid $21,000 for this car. I leased it at first for 3 years, and then I refinanced it. I just refinanced it, a year or two ago. And I barely have 20,000 miles on the thing. I've had it for 4 years. So I haven't traveled that much, except to and from the doctor with her. And down to the beach, which isn't that far from here, and to local parks here and there, where I used to take her and spend some quality time with her. But other than that, I really haven't traveled much with it. So I gotta see if I can work out a deal with someone. But first I have to deal with this house and finding a place to stay temporarily for a month or two. Maybe not even that long. Be a couple of weeks, I don't know. Taking it all one day at a time, little by little. And it would seem we're going to be hanging on this channel a little while longer, but I have a feeling eventually I'm going to be taking a long break from it. But we'll see. Like I said, one day at a time. Thanks for stopping by. Talk again.